why they hate me so much. It's people tend to project onto you. But we're going to go to Christian Hartzog. Christian, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. My question for you is this. Do you think it's okay for Matt Tierman to say things like, quote, "cum guzzling dumpster" to my current chief technology officer? Do you think it's okay for Angela Martinez to steal medical records from an innocent woman? And do you stand with the individuals after they sexually harassed me, sent me pictures of semen covered on a sandwich, counter-imposed dildos in my mouth, and board members co-investing in medical companies? What is your comment on that behavior, Christian Hartzog?
No, they know exactly how I feel about that, about those texts. And but you know me. I've been friends with you for 15 years.
Wait, hold on a second. Define friend.
Are you gonna? No. You want me to answer, or are you going to talk over me?
Go ahead.
Okay. I remain friends with everyone. For the same reason I remain friends with you after you tried to lure Abby Boudreaux onto a boat full of dildos and condoms and chocolate strawberries and sex toys for God knows what fucking reason and lied to me about it when all she wanted to do was get on the set of Landry Dance and film me directing it. I stayed friends with you. You made a public humiliation of me, and I stood by you. Scott Zamos called me, invited me down to Sunset to go on CNN and distance myself from you and say I knew nothing about this, which was true. You totally blindsided me. I knew absolutely nothing about it. But I said, no, James, you're too late. James already called me and apologized, and he's my friend, and I will stand by him. And I always stood by you. I continue to stand by you. I never stopped considering myself your friend. Where I stopped short is being willing to lie to the public for you, which is exactly what you were doing. When you claimed that you were ousted, which you are still lying. Why are you lying about that?
So
No, I'm not done. I'm not done, James.
So this is not your show. We're gonna cut your mic. Mute the mic, please. Mute the mic, Christian. Christian, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but this is not your show, and I asked you a question. I asked you a question about the board members co-investing in companies and their conflicts of interest. Are you willing to have a conversation with me about the board members of Project Veritas terminating James O'Keefe? Are you willing to talk about that? Yes or no? You can unmute Christian's mic. It won't be a monologue of you spouting about random stuff from...
What do you mean random stuff, James?
I'm asking you a question about the board firing me and your comments about
Tell me when the board fired you. Tell me the date the board fired you.
February?
Because you told the public one thing, and you told, and the reality we know was that it was 3 months later.
February 10th, 2023 is when the board voted to indefinitely suspend me without pay.
Okay, so you just notice what you just did. You just moved the goalposts. You changed. Fired you.
Never changed anything.
Suspended. You have
no, that is termination under New York law. Indefinite suspension without pay is called indentured servitude, aka slavery. So that would be considered termination under federal law.
What they voted to do was suspend your ability to retaliate against employees who had bravely testified to the way you had treated them.
So let's talk about the grievances, Christian. What do you think about Julia Witt manufacturing a claim that I stole a pregnant lady sandwich?
Notice you conveniently leave out.
What is your response?
I'm responding.
I would love you to answer. What is your response to the lie about the pregnant lady sandwich, Christian Hartzog?
What are the words that you left out of what Julia Witt said? She said you yelled at her. You shouted at her.
I yelled at her?
Sandwich. That's exactly.
You didn't respond to my question.
I am responding to your question. What you're doing.
Can I just say something? Why are we pretending like in this industry, even like regardless of whether you yelled at the woman or not? It's called investigative reporting. This is high-profile investigative reporting. There were so many instances in the office where people yelled at each other, not because they were trying to be disrespectful, but because, we're breaking a big story. It's like, I know, but people just need to stop being so fake about, you yelled. Who cares? A lot of people yelled at the office.
Chris, James, hold on. I'm going to cut your mic. This is not your show. Cut his mic. I'm going to ask you a question. And here's the question I have, and it's a very specific question. An attorney for Project Veritas fabricates a claim that I stole a sandwich. Your co-defendant, whose name I will not mention because it doesn't concern her, a fellow investigative reporter, comes out and denies this ever happened. Christian Hartzog, what do you have to say about an attorney fabricating an allegation? Please limit your answer to the question that I've asked you. Go ahead.
If she fabricated it, then why did you draft an apology? Why did you ask the board if you could read an apology letter at 4 hours and 41 minutes into the board recording that you made?
I didn't say that she fabricated it.
I quote, if I don't change,
Cut his
we
mic.
will lose Project
If
Veritas.
he's not gonna cooperate, we're not gonna. I didn't fabricate it. Your fellow colleague, you know who she is, in the Democracy Partners case, said that she fabricated it. What is your response to her fabrication? What is your response to that? Go ahead, answer the question.
First of all, I reject your premise that Julia fabricated that she was.
But that's what your colleague said.
No, there's probably a misunderstanding of her stupid sandwich. The point is, you verbally abused her, James. That was the sandwich. You didn't fucking read what she wrote. She said you verbally abused her. Who gives a shit what it was about?
All right.
Okay. Number fucking two. Why did you say in the board meeting at 4 hours in the quote crucifixion? Why did you say?
I feel like I'm the one being verbally abused.
I'm saying.
Oh well.
I mean, why are you cursing at me so much?
Okay.
Is this how you talk to your colleagues?
Cursing has never offended you, so I guess okay. I will not use.
I mean, the comments I'm getting right now is this guy's screaming and cursing at you. You're doing precisely what you accused me of. You're projecting onto me.
What you're doing. Okay. Why did you say to the board? Why did you say I appreciate everyone caring so much about the mission? I really appreciate everyone being so honest.
Well, evidently, because I didn't realize at the time. Because I didn't realize at the time what I know now, which is that many of these people don't actually care about the mission. And that came out afterwards when they called me a, quote, faggot, when they sent me pictures of semen covered as sandwiches, when attorneys fabricated allegations, when board members solicited investments from donors and didn't disclose that, which is a violation of the conflict of interest. I learned so much. I was once blind and now I see, Christian. My question for you is this.
You see what?
Now that you know the
if I don't change, we will lose Project Veritas. Why did you say that?
Because I didn't think it was.
Why did you turn around and belittle? Was it 6 hours of Julia talking about a sandwich, James? Was it 6 hours of Julia talking about a sandwich? Or were there very real grievances that were brought to your attention that you said, if I don't change, we will lose Project Veritas?
I guess the question is, I sent an apology letter, and I genuinely meant it about saying in front of other people, there's the door. But the problem is Barry Hinckley stated he would not follow my lead. So my question back to you, Christian Hartzog, in a situation where I tell someone, you need to do this, and they are insubordinate, what was I supposed to do? You want me to raise $24 million a year, and you're not allowing me to take an SUV. So what exactly do you expect me to do as the CEO or leader? And that's the problem with your logic. You don't have an answer. You just keep going back to I yelled at somebody. I don't know what you're referring to.
No, that's the part. No, that's not. No, that's the thing you want to laser focus in on. For the last 2 years, all you have focused in on is Sandwichgate and black cars. When you know goddamn well, you sat there.
Can you please stop cursing at me?
Why did you not release the tape? Why? Okay, James. In 16 years, you've never been offended by the F word. Why are you pretending to be offended by it?
Because I think it's important that we can.
Why are you pretending to be someone you're not? You use the F word all the time. You were never this thin-skinned pussy about it.
Okay, well, because we're on a public show in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay, all right.
And I think it's important to try to have a cordial conversation without hurling expletives.
But I really don't appreciate the way you've been attacking people for the last 2 years, laser focused. First of all, deriding and completely belittling very real. He lied.
Hey, Christian, I'm raising money right now for lawyers to defend the reporting, some of the reporting you're involved in. I don't think you understand the price of being a leader when you have to raise tens of millions of dollars a year. And your colleague said, I will not follow your lead. And then you guys ran out of money, and there was no money to defend you. So help me understand. Help me understand. What were you guys thinking?
What do you mean? What was I? You abandoned us, James. No one wanted you to leave Project Veritas. No one wanted you gone, and you know that.
I was indefinitely suspended without pay.
Because of course they had to suspend you from retaliating against employees who had testified. That's a normal thing.
And how did that go for them? They suspended your ability to hire
and fire, and they suspended your ability to raise money while pending the results of an internal audit, which is the part you conveniently leave out.
And can you give me an example of something I did financially wrong, Christian Hartzog? Can you give me one example?
That's not. Well, if you had waited for there to be an internal, maybe you were completely innocent, but clearly you were not, because you cut and ran. You were afraid of simply sticking with the team and saying, hey guys, don't worry.
So if I were to indefinitely suspend you without pay, that's called indentured servitude in New York State. I can't indefinitely suspend someone without pay and tell them they work for me. If I were to indefinitely suspend you without a paycheck, what would you do?
Well, there was a subsequent board meeting later that week that you didn't show up to. If you were so confident that you had been spending donor money, without anything for anyone to complain about, then why didn't you stick around for that board meeting, that second board meeting?
Because they told me to be gone for 2 weeks. They told me to be gone for 2 weeks.
They did not. This is where you know you're lying. They did not tell you. You're going to tell me that they invited you to a board meeting?
Can I get a response from you on the issue before the federal judge, which is the
I want to know why you did not show up to the board meeting.
See, here's the thing. This is my show, and when you go in front of a jury, you don't get to yell at the jury and the federal judge. I want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to ask you, Christian Hartzog, another question. What do you think about the board members of Project Veritas publishing private, intimate text messages between me and my girlfriend? And please only answer that question. If you deviate from answering that question, I'm going to cut your mic.
Everything.
Go ahead.
They know everything. They know exactly how I feel about that.
And how do you feel about that, Christian Hartzog? Be brave. Tell the world.
The same way I felt about you trying to lure Abby Boudreaux onto a boat full of dildos and sex toys, and making me take the fall for it on CNN.
How do you feel about the board members of the company publishing the IT person publishing R.C. Maxwell's medical records? Tell me your response to that. Are you brave enough to make a comment?
As well as I do. Excuse me. They know very well, and they've known all this time that I never that I'm against that, as you well know. Okay, but here's the problem: is you want me to be this avatar for everything that anyone has ever done to you or RC, when I'm not. You invited me to talk. I will talk about what was within my knowledge and was within my control. And the fact is, you abandoned your team. You lied to the public. You were not
Christian, you liked the comment that Angelo made, trying to torment and taunt my wife, by the way. You liked that comment on IG. You're going to sit here and you're going to say, I don't remember it, because you're not man enough to sit here and say, yes, I liked that comment, because I had animosity for you because you stood with James. See, this is the problem.
Well, I don't think that's not a comment that I like. And why don't you take this up?
Evil, corrupt power cannot win unless there are people like you who are either too stupid not to know the difference or willing to be a puppet. And I feel like you're either in one category and you yourself are not.
You're projecting because RC, you told me yourself, you're projecting because you told me yourself James needed to be reined in. And you told me that, but if James leaves, you will leave to protect your brand. It didn't. You even told me it didn't matter who was in the wrong. If James left, you would leave to protect your brand, and sure enough, that's what you did. The brave souls that stayed aboard Project Veritas and refused to join.
You're saying you're righteous. We're all liars, and we're all doing for what?
Well, you knew James was lying. You knew James was lying.
Can I ask you an honest question? Did you know that we had board members who had medical companies who were potentially shopping them to companies like Pfizer? Were you aware of that?
Yeah, and all that would matter if James was actually ousted. But here's the thing, RC. You know damn well James was not ousted.
We're gonna
had a company.
Are you aware that they knew about the Pfizer investigation for 2 years? Why did they suddenly wait until the release in late January 2023 to suddenly say, you know what, now James has gone too far. Let's oust him. They knew about, Matt Tierman knew about the Pfizer investigation for 2 years.
Question: Are you currently in a revolutionary chat with Tierman? Are you currently in a revolutionary chat with?
No, why don't you answer my question, James? I will answer your question after you answer mine. Why did you?
That's a tautology. I don't have to answer your irrelevant questions.
I don't have to.
Because when this goes before a jury, you're not going to be able to yell and scream at a judge and tell him to answer your questions. Publication of private facts, defamation, is unlawful, Christian Hartzog. You can't publish people's private medical records. Do you understand? You cannot publish people's private medical records. The fact that you are unable or unwilling to condemn someone publishing R.C. Maxwell's wife's medical records says so much about you. You can't sign a conflicts of interest policy at a nonprofit and then invest in companies and not disclose it. You can't do that. Now I'm going to give you one more chance. Do you have any comment on the following things? Do you have any comment on sexual, graphic, and obscene messages sent from these are your friends? Do you have any comment on the attorney of Project Veritas fabricating an allegation according to the pregnant lady? And do you have any comment, most importantly, on the board members of the company co-investing in companies and not disclosing that conflict of interest? Do you have any comment on those three things? Go ahead. Christian.
And you have no proof that Julia fabricated anything, except what she didn't fabricate was you verbally abusing her in front of people, whether it was someone's sandwich or not. Why do you lazy?
All right, get him off the air.
Were they talking?
Get him off the air. I mean, I wanted to give you guys a glimpse into this. I run from nothing. I hide from nothing. You got to hear directly from one of the people at Project Veritas who was fired after the company ran out of money. RC, what's your reaction to that?
Look, I want to know who is a federal informant at Project Veritas, who was a federal informant. I think the picture is still cloudy. Like I said, I think that, powerful people can't do evil unless there are pawns they can use. I think Christian is one of those pawns. I am curious to what the next depositions, what comes out. I'm curious to hear what Matthew Tierman has to say in his additional depositions. We know he's conniving. You heard the clip that he is his anti-Trump clip that speaks to his conniving nature. I think there's still.
I wonder what Christian has to say about Matt Tierman saying Trump will never be president. Like that, I didn't think to ask that question, but I don't want to, bother you guys with ramblings and non sequiturs. And this is for the viewers. I mean, this is the kind of Yeah, unfortunately, by the way, let me be fair. I think Christian did some great work at Project Red Us. The two things I think he did amazing were the report on Bob Creamer, which, by the way, I'm appealing to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. We're currently paying for the legal fees to defend the journalism that he was involved in. He did great work. I think he did great work on the story involving an ABC producer that was caught on tape saying they need to cross the Hudson River and actually research why people in this country love Trump. Christian did some great work. Unfortunately, Christian Hartsock fell a victim to, he wanted more credit, and he became, I believe, resentful and quite vindictive after he was not given the credit as an undercover journalist. And that turned into a kind of vindictiveness and a kind of resentment. And I actually, so I want to be fair that I think he did some good work, but unfortunately, and this is what it comes down to, if you don't have integrity in your life, and if you can't condemn what we're talking about here, and if you can't take a stance, then it doesn't matter how good it doesn't matter how talented you are, or how great your